Please call the roll.
Yes. Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mr. Elkins,
Here.
Mr. Self,
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Ms. Parker is absent. Mr. Rackler,
Here.
Mr. Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Merrick,
Here.
and Ms. Cordova.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, if everyone would please stand, Mr. Robinson is going to lead us in the invocation and I'll lead us in the pledges.
We kindly pray and worship our Lord with me. Father in heaven, we come to you today and ask you to continue blessing our community. Watch over our staff as they project the work they have to do. Watch over the kids in our community. And this time we ask your special blessing on the families that have suffered loss. We are deeply miss the kids that are gone. And we hope the whole community will pray with the families and support them. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures. Thank you. We're going to now move to public comment. The public has opportunity to provide comment on subjects regarding city business during the public comment period. Speakers' comments will be limited to 3 minutes unless the mayor and or councilors request, unless the mayor or councilors request more information. The time limit is given in an effort to allow public input, but to also move the agenda forward in a prompt yet efficient manner. All speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Topics are limited to 6 speakers per topic. We have 2 people this morning. Corey, you're first.
Oh, well, I thought I just had to sign in.
Okay.
I'm actually speaking to Oscar.
All right.
That's all.
Good, thank you. Then, Mr. Carter.
My name is Alan Carter. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I know each one of you has struggled tremendously on our water issues. I do believe that all options ought to be on the table. If it's my understanding that the Ute Lake project, the water pipeline, it's my understanding now that we can put farm-owned water into that pipeline. And I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not. So I'm going to go ahead and state whether it comes from the North Water Project or whether it comes from a different area. I think it would be a very, very substantial win for the community of Portales to get something going on some water coming from somewhere. I know that there's other projects like Roosevelt County Electric. Don't know how long that's going to take. I think that's going to be a viable project. I think it's going to be a good project. But I think we also need to be transparent to the community. We do know that there's PFAS around the North Water Project in some of the areas. Some of the areas don't have it, but we also know that there's PFAS in Ute Lake. And so it's going to have to be filtered. And there's going to come a day to where we're going to have a very valuable plant to filter whatever comes down the pipeline. Hopefully before it gets into the pipeline. But I would like to take the technology that Chris and Mr. Davidson brought in. That technology will also maybe help you out on your trash issues. Because if you can find water with that technology, you cannot find water with the same technology. It would be nice to have our trash here in Roosevelt County and not have to truck it to Clovis, where, if we had our own facility here, that would be gross revenue tax for the city or the Roosevelt County or whoever, probably Roosevelt County. But those would be funds that we could generate and make sure that we've got enough money to maybe fix some of these other issues. But that technology will go both ways. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment. The next item is minutes of the previous meeting held April 1st, 2025.
Which agrees.
Okay, have a motion by Mr. Rackler,
Second.
second by Mr. Robinson. Any further discussion? Additions, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ms. Cordova, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion is approved. Our next item is the mayor's appointment of board member to the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority. Mr. Lucero has represented us for about 10 years on that commission, and he is willing to serve out the remainder of this year. I think his appointment is up in June. I think that's what Chair Morris told me the other day. Mayor Morris has agreed that, Mr. Lucero has agreed that in January, when there's a new mayor, that mayor wants him to step aside and appoint somebody else, then he is more than willing to do that. So with all of that being said, I would like to recommend the reappointment of Mr. Lucero to the Water Authority for the time being. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say that when Mr. Lucero went on that board back some 10 years back, he was a neophyte in that process, but he has done such a wonderful job, Jim, keeping us. And I know what you fight for every day when you go up there. You and Orlando have represented this community well, and I'm proud to say that you're on that board for him to represent us. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Veronica, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thanks for your willing to serve again. Appreciate that. Next item is the fire department. Our first item for Chief Kathy is approval of resolution 2025-07, removing time barred accounts.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the annual time of year where we bring this before you so that we can improve the fiscal impact of this non-collectible amounts that are classified as time barred after appropriate efforts have been made to collect that. It is a large amount this time of $177,803.61, but it is a long time frame. It's 8 years. And we have seen an increase in run volume during that time, so it is more accounts. But it's only 2.4% of the accounts and 2.4% of the billable amount. But I'll stand for any questions.
Questions for the chief?
Mr. Mayor, I just have one, and I'm just curious, do you see an increase in the uncollectibles or?
We have seen an increase in revenue, but it's hard to tell if that's an increase in individual payments or just due to run volume increases.
I just know that your staff does a great job.
Agreed.
In doing the collections on these and always have for many years to come. Does that amount include the non-payment by insurance companies, the write-offs?
Patty?
It would include the collections that are already that we turned over to collectors and Stephen Door.
Okay.
And it would also include any amount that insurance did not pay, that was patient responsibility, that they decided not to pay.
So for the record, I'll just try to recap that so that it's caught on the microphone. Yes, it does include the unpaid amount by insurance as well as the accounts that were not paid.
But according to Ms. Heflin,
Yeah.
it's the unpaid amount that's the patient responsibility, not the contractual
Yes.
differences. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, any other questions for Chief? What's the pleasure of the council on resolution 2025-07?
I'll move for approval. Second.
Motion by Mr. Elkins, second by Mr. Self. Ms. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Elkins,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Reckler,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
and Ms. Cordova.
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go, Chief. Thank you. Next is approval of annual submission of the New Mexico State Fire Marshal's Municipal Fund application for fiscal year 2026.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. As you eloquently put it, this is just our annual fire fund application. It's formulated based on the number of main stations and substations we have, as well as our ISO score that gives us a projected amount of a little over 218,000, but does not reflect any additional amount that could be calculated based on the growth of the fund. And I'll stand for any questions.
Questions for the chief? Well, with the new law that passed, are you planning on trying to bond any of this?
This is fire fund, and we do have bonds on the fire fund.
Oh, that's right. EMS is.
The EMS is the other one. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mayor, can I ask a question? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Chief Kathy, did we remedy where the animal control is at to have that office listed for your substation, for the substation out at the airport?
It's in progress, and the animal control and Kelly and their crew have done a great job. It's in process, and it should be accomplished within the next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? It's a pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cordova, second by Mr. Merrick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Ms. Cordova, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now move to community service. Ms. McClellan, the item under this is approved resolution PC 2024-2025-40, special use permit at 2013 West 18th Street for the purpose of developing 7 independent senior living homes with attached single car garage, submitted by Mariposa Builders Construction Company, unanimously recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. Ms. McClellan.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Council. So this is the property that's in reference to, it's going to be right next to RGH, the Good Life Center. This is already a care center for your elderly. What they're going to be doing, Ms. Miss Antoinette, sorry. One more is they would like to put 7 individual little single family units where more independent elderly can live by themselves. They're still going to be associated with the Good Life Care Facility. They're covering this because special use permits are very specific, and this new independent living is just going to be an add-on. So we just got to do a new special use permit. The only people who came to speak for it was RGH, and they were a representative for RGH, and they were very for this proposal. They thought it was in an excellent spot with RGH being literally quite right next door. We sent all the published letters in, we logged it. We only had good things that we got back, 2 for the proposal, and then 1 as for your property owners, and then 1 from your public utilities was also for it. And P&Z had no problems with it. They all recommended it to move forward for approval. I think this is the last one, but we go one more just in case. That is it. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. Our representative was going to try to come tonight, but I do not believe he is here.
Okay, questions for Kelly? Go ahead.
On the, when you add 7 houses, what is the impact on the sewer and impact? How much is it gonna impact it? And are we capable of taking care of it all?
I would assume so. We did send out part of the letters we send are to our own public utilities. So we do send this to water and sewer. They had no protest, but with 7 individuals, the next door houses quite a few individuals as well, and they all have toilets. I would not foresee any problems with this. Mr. Mendoza's here. Do you see any?
So the hospital won't have any,
No.
they didn't say they would have any
No,
problems.
the representative came and was very for these buildings.
Any further questions? Mr. Merrick?
On this drawing, you've got another building down there to the right of the set of two homes.
Okay,
Is that an already approved building? It's not actually there.
I'm not sure. The only request is gonna be for the 7 individual units.
Because they've actually got the unit up there to the north. That's in existence, but the other one is, I think, a planned addition, but it's not there currently.
I think if you go back and look, the initial special use included both, but they haven't built this.
Okay,
We might want to check into that, but
we can definitely check
otherwise
into
they'll have to
it.
come back a third.
Okay, and if it's under the same,
Variance, if you will.
yeah, if it falls under the first one where they are, it's not, if it's rather independent or they are living in the building as assisted care, it would still be covered by this one.
Just like that.
But they would, if it's not been built, all they'd have to come by, as long as it's in one of the uses, as long as they met their setbacks, they would not have to come back before planning and zoning or city council.
Just kind of wanted to bring it up and clarify that there would be an additional set of resources there for that if they built that. It's not currently built.
And perfect. And when they do their permitting, we also do send that to sewer and water. And they do check before that building would be approved to be built to make sure it can handle that.
Further questions? It's a pleasure of the council.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Rackler. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Ms. Cordova, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is city manager items. The first item is approval of temporary city attorney contract.
Yeah, oh, it is right on that.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, we've been without a city attorney and we've been using the league resources. Currently, while we are still in search for an attorney, we have a temporary attorney that we would like to take on in the time being and then do a little bit of an overlap whenever we do get a new city attorney. So this is just an agreement for legal services. And I'll stand for any questions.
You might point out that this is an agreement between the city and the Queener Law Firm, Mr. Rick Queener.
Yes.
And, we've talked to Mr. Queener. We're doing this under the professional services contract under $60,000. So there's a point in time that if we can bring an attorney on or something else, then we'll have to go out for another RFP.
Correct.
If we approach that amount. So Mr. Queener has served as the attorney for Roosevelt County at one point in time. I think you said the other night that he serves as the attorney for the co-op, and I've worked with Mr. Queener in the past when he served as county attorney.
And he has served as he was contract attorney with the city of Texaco also.
Currently is.
So he has the experience that we need for a temporary contract attorney.
Questions for Mr. Moyer? Pleasure of the council.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Elkins, second by Mr. Lopez. Approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carry, or I'm sorry, Ms. Cordova, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion is approved. Next item is approval of resolution 2025-08, adopting a water conservation and drought contingency plan.
So thank you again, Mayor and Council. Before we get into this, I'm gonna have Mr. Mendoza come up and give a current water update so that you can see where we would be on this resolution and the drought contingency plan. So then I'll speak after that.
Evening. So currently, as of today, we have 6 wells resting out in Blackwater well field. Before I get into any more numbers on this, Lime Street tank is full. So it's back up and ready to go when we need to utilize it. I think we've even taken our back tees on them, got those done. So currently we're at 2100 gallons per minute coming in from Blackwater well field. And pretty much according to this, it would put us right at 87%. In capacity, yeah. So. We typically utilize our tank levels, our happy mediums between 26 or 25 to 29 feet. And that kind of gives us if we need to add more wells or turn more wells on or keep it at where we're at without the flow meters. That's where we kind of base our production numbers off of, if we need to add more wells later on. So that's kind of where we're at with things here. I don't know.
Will you touch on the 87% is only Blackwater? We're not including the Sandhill, and why we're doing that?
Correct. Yeah. So Sandhill is only utilized for filling Lime Street tank, and we only use that to when we're in at 100% in Blackwater, and we need to utilize that to either catch up our help us fill the Johnson Hill tanks, or we have structure fires or happen in our distribution system. So Lime Street, if we're adding that, it's 14 wells total that's resting. And that's only a total of 469,000 gallons per day, basically, is what that would allot for in Sandhill.
Do you drain that every month at Lime Street just to keep the not stagnant?
We have it on a cycle.
What is that typically?
It's what do we usually do that? Every 3 months? Every 3 months, or during our high peak demand. We do it pretty frequently just to help with demand. But yeah, we have it on I would say in between 1 to 3 month cycle.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Lime Street. I thought it was still being refurbished.
So Stantec's doing a plan and design on that. So they're going to give us their preliminary report. They're working on that. I think they're on task order number 4. So they're working towards getting us the design phase of things and put it on paper. But Smithco with Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority is also there doing their stuff. So they put a control vault over on the south end of the tank, and I want to say they're probably about 70% done with their work there at the Lime Street tank. They've already done their core cuts, and they took their back tees after it was filled. They had DNR tank come in. They did a disinfection on the tank itself on the inside. So we had 2 different engineers come in or companies come in, and they entered that tank through confined space entry permits and did their thing. So,
and just to clarify, we're not gonna do the refurbishing during peak demand. Hopefully, we're gonna do that after the summer, whenever.
But it'll be a strategic plan put in place for that. Yeah, we'll talk with Stantec once they give us that preliminary engineering or preliminary report. We'll look at all of what needs to be done. I'm sure they'll give us a few options. Give us pretty much the Cadillac option and then go down from there. And then we'll bring it to council and see what decision we want to, or see what direction we want to take.
Okay.
Yes,
On the wells that are running, as I understand it, they're on variable
VFDs.
fees.
So
None of them are, or they are, or they're not.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are on variable speeds.
And now are they ones that are running?
The ones that, yeah.
And do we know what amount, what they're running at? Are they running at 30%? Are they running at 90%?
They're pretty much already.
At 190%. Okay.
They just run, they run according to the level of water, so.
Right.
If the water starts to drop, they slow down. Just to hold the level, at whatever they're set at, so.
Vice
But
versa, right?
What's
They
that?
speed up when the water goes down. Right?
No, they'll slow down because the water is draining in the well.
Don't want to burn up.
Oh, in the well. Okay, I thought you were talking about the tank. Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
Now, we do have a plan to try to get all 37 wells in Blackwater put on VFDs at some point. We're going to try to put it in for next budget. And that way we do have that. It'll save the life of the pumps itself, and then it'll help with air. It'll help with a bunch of things out in the well field, so.
Anything else? Anybody else? Chris? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I mean, Chris, handing it, Chris.
Yeah, so the drought contingency plan that you see is one that's been gone through numerous times over the last couple of years and definitely over the last couple of months by the Water Advisory Committee. So I'll stand for any questions, and then if there's something I can't answer, maybe Mr. Davidson might be able to answer, as he's the chair of the Water Advisory Committee.
That's right.
Yeah, starting on the moderate. On our current 1 day watering, a person could water from 6 p.m. till 5 the next morning. And there's a whole lot of people have sprinklers, et cetera, they could set for 4 a.m. or whatever, and that would take care of that. This now limits us only to 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So if you work nights, or we're all gonna be watered in the same 3-hour frame, when it was overnight, at least people with sprinklers could offset some of us that were watering from 6 to 9. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering why we eliminated the overnight option on the 1 day we could water.
I think that might have been an oversight. I think the intention was we're restricting you to nighttime watering to where it's not in the heat of the day. I don't think the 6 to 9 was just a set number. You know,
If we could put that back to 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. so that way you water from, 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. At least somebody could set their sprinkler for 4, and that would help offset not everybody watering at the same time.
Well, I mean, my 6 p.m. in the summer, in the heat of the summertime, it's
Yeah,
still pretty hot.
I'm gonna wait till 7:30 right?
I can answer your question.
Yes, sir.
It was because we're talking about a 1 day watering schedule that's spilling into 2 different days. So the language was just cleaned up to be watering on 1 day instead of taking place on 2 separate days. But it's not critical,
Or even if we changed it to 6 to midnight or something, then those people with sprinklers could go set theirs at 11 p.m. or something. I don't know, just trying to offset the usage. And the only other question I had, I worry about having 2 options for days, because I think a lot of people will be watering on both those days. They're gonna see that as a.
And that's kind of like
not an
choosing
or.
and not a. Even when I looked at it, I thought that,
Yeah.
when I first looked at it.
Say, no, I water on Sundays, and we come back Friday and Wednesdays. Say, no, I water on Wednesdays.
well, and that's something, so this is the term's been used, a living, breathing document. We can change it as needed. And it may even be beneficial to say, even addresses 2, 4, and 6 on Tuesdays to limit the demand all in one time. To where you're not saying odd addresses on Tuesdays, you can say odd addresses 2 to 6 on Tuesdays, odd addresses 8 and 0 on Thursdays, if we needed to space it out. I think that was just something that we had thrown in there.
Well, I
that
understand
can
it
easily
would
be changed.
A weekend option, if they're busy during the week, I think that was probably part of
Mhm.
the thought process. I just don't want people to see it as an and.
Would this still be police, say we go into the moderate? I know last time
No,
city staff,
no.
police, okay, what's the plan?
The best answer is control and self-restraint by the residents. That I think us wanting to do this and us putting this in place is, we can't be everywhere. We're not going to be the water Gestapo, or we're not going to be running around town looking for people that are watering on the days that they're not supposed to be, or the times they're not supposed to be. We just can't do that. We don't have the manpower to do that. And I'm not going to ask people to do that. And that's basically, telling on our neighbors. Kind of an honor system. I think
if you tell people why, I mean, people should understand why we're doing this. And the honor system should be good enough, in my opinion.
To follow up on that, if we went ahead and put in where if you go over a certain amount of gallons in a residential and your rate goes up, that would help too.
Yes,
Water gets a lot better when it hits your check.
Water rates are a big part of this, and we have a meeting, I think, this.
I want to say it's either Thursday or Monday.
We have a meeting with Waterworth to go over the findings that they have either this week or early next week to look at that and then hopefully implement new water rates. And obviously for heavy users, there should be a stiffer penalty. It should hurt.
I would just like to make this point. Chris just got through giving us a reading on our well field. We're at 80%, 87%. You look up there on that chart, that's already in the extreme stage. Which means that we're using 87% of our wells to maintain what the city of Corvallis is using currently. And we're not even in the summer. We have got to let people know, and I know that there's people in my block and several others that somehow got it in their head that we're past our water crisis and that they can just go back to watering after they feel. And I'm telling you, we're not past our water crisis. And if we don't start conserving like we're supposed to, we are going to be in a very severe water crisis. And when it gets to that stage, you run out of options. I mean, you can't just go turn the spigot on somewhere else if you don't have those wells in place. And we have not put those wells in place. So I just want to call that out that yes, we do have other wells north of town, but if you put everything into play at once just to keep up with our demand, why would you stress our system to that point? You got to have something in reserve to get yourself there. And we've got 9 wells out there that are supplying the majority of our water. The rest of them are all small yielders. So if one of those 9 wells goes out, it may take 6 of those smaller wells to keep up with what that one was doing. So we've really got to take this serious, folks. I don't want to just be the one that's, crying wolf and saying, the sky's falling, but we're getting pretty dang close. So if you don't have to water, don't water. Find some source of beautifying your yard that does not take water so that we've got longevity. And I don't know how more plain to put that. Until we can get to the point that we can start using our wastewater and watering our parks and trying to get something green and joyful to play in around here, we cannot use drinking water that we're supplying the city with to do that. So I just want to stress, let the rains try to green your yard up, but try not to water it because we really need to conserve.
Yeah, Eldon, I would agree with you. And then reading, if you can go to the very first page of this at the top on the purpose of this. The purpose of the DCP is to provide a framework for the city to coordinate a response to a water supply emergency. The intent of the DCP is to provide a systematic approach for identifying, managing water shortages caused by drought, equipment failure, contamination, catastrophic weather, and other foreseen events. We had an engineering firm come and tell us that our residential usage is far below the norm. A little bit of research I did is the average US household uses about 9,600 gallons of water per month. And about 2,800 gallons per month for outdoor water use. It's about 30%. When you look at our billing determinants and the actual usage for 2024, the actual gallons used was about 275 million gallons, which equates to 5,400 gallons in a month. So we're far below the norm. I think the intent of this plan is to help curb the emergencies. And I, for one, I don't believe that us not watering our yards is really even a drop in the bucket. I know we live in a desert and we're forced to conserve. That's just the reality of where we're at. But when you run the numbers, a normal sprinkler system on 1/2-inch pipe running at 60 pounds of pressure across the entire system on 4,100 residential meters is 50 gallons per minute, and on average for a year. If our actual usage is 2,100 gallons per minute, us taking out 50 gallons per minute isn't enough. So this plan is a start. This isn't a fix-all. This does not help us get out of our water emergency. This just is to get the conversation started of what else can we do. The rate structuring is a great idea. The allotments of water or rationing of water is a great idea. If you say, hey, your normal billing rate will be at 2,000 gallons. If you want to water your yard in 2,000 gallons, go for it. But that's all you're getting. We have to go into the honor system, self-report. The issue that we got into last summer is we were turning neighbors against neighbors, and it's not a good situation for our community to be in. So we have to understand that this is a community-wide issue. Not one of us is going to solve it, but it's going to take all of us. So I, for one, I think that we need to approve this plan as it is, but with the plan of adding more to it. This drought contingency plan cannot be our saving grace. It's going to take many different projects like Mr. Carter was referring to earlier to help us not fix this problem, but ride through it. That's my 2 cents. And I was going to say, I think we should add a normal operation stage. The percentages are kind of arbitrary, just pulling it out of your hat. But if we said up to 60%, let's water 2 days a week. In June and July, if we're already at 87%, we're not going to get there anyways. And so that'd be almost worthless to throw that in for the summer months. Maybe someday we'll get back to it, but I just don't foresee that right now.
Can we clarify in your comment based on the chart? Because one was extreme and then the gallons per, can we all discuss that and be clear on?
As far as the stage levels, we've had that in place, the moderate, severe, extreme, emergency, that's the tank level.
Sure.
But we're not, our tank level is below 23, below 20, below 18, below 15. Those tank levels readings stayed in there, even though that's not a real true indicator of what you're having to do to maintain that tank level. So we decided to go to a percentage off of the readings that the guys are taking at the well field about how many wells are actually operating and pumping to maintain that level. So that is a more accurate reading of what's going on in the well field to maintain, not what's going on at the tanks. So
I understand that, but
we left that part in, but
the chart's confusing because you said we're extreme. So,
if you
But
look
the
at
tanks
the
nowhere near.
percentages
but the
of
tanks don't. So yes, one level we are, the tank levels we're not. So we're really a hybrid. So I'm just trying to clarify.
The tank is a backup. I mean, if
You,
for
I
some
think the
reason,
question
you
is,
have
should the tank level be on here? Because if the tank level's at 28, most people are gonna say, why are we at extreme? Well, it's the 87%. Well, if we're only gonna go by the 87%, then take the tank level out.
and we can do that.
it's just confusing to me. I mean, I'm not gonna use the word extreme. we're in extreme status right now, based on the tank level.
If you're going by the well field production capacity,
Yeah, if you go back.
which is what WPC is.
So that,
We're pumping 87% of our wells.
So if you look at activation, it tells you that the ban being placed on plant activation is based on the well field production capacity. Tank levels are used as a backup visual indicator. That's just, we can take it out. That's
It's just a confusing point is all. Sometimes.
understood.
One other thing I want to make sure we keep on the table, because some people have come to me and that have farming experience have come to me and said, for every circle you take out of play, the amount of water you save is way more than what we're talking about watering yards. So I want us
Correct.
to keep pursuing ways to somehow give some kind of payment to farmers to not use those circles or something. I mean, that's more of a long-term help to me, is if we can get those circles out for them. Than me not watering my 20 by 20 project.
And I can look into Clovis has the Sentinel program that they've been doing up in in Curry County, I think is where they're doing it. So I can look into that and see how that played out. They got numerous wells shut down and voluntarily they shut them down
What the
to.
co-op bought, they've taken some out of play for now. Anyway.
And the co-op's done an excellent job of reducing their water usage. So they are definitely a great partner in this.
wouldn't you say their water meters have really helped?
Correct.
And I know that's in the works, but
And that is in the works for us. And I'm hoping to have that to you guys next month.
that'd be great.
A lot of things in play and they've all got to start coming together, but once we can get real-time data from our well field, from our usage meters, and then get a rate schedule in place that people are actually having to pay for this water that they're overusing to the point that it starts hurting their pocketbooks and they'll curtail that. When all of those things start coming together, then we're starting to make some strides. But until then, we're just having to rely on everybody to just do what's right.
Yeah, the issue goes back to your point. I visited with several irrigators around the area, did some national statistics. National says that it's about 600 to 800 gallons per minute for one irrigation pivot. For our area, it's about 400 gallons per minute, and that's a 125 acre circle. We have hundreds of those in our region. If you do the calculation on that, it's about 80,000 gallons per minute based on irrigation pivots that are being pulled out of the aquifer. The stuff that we have at the city is very, very small in comparison to the big issue. So I think we have to do everything we can, but we can only conserve so much. We can only shut down so many industrial users. And so it's a lose-lose battle right now, but we have to do everything we can to manage that. But I do like the idea, and that's what the electric co-op tried to start by buying up some farms. We're trying to take some of the competition out of play.
Further discussion.
Hold on. Today, was informed by the water department that they advised me not to have leaks in my property.
Correct.
But this plan doesn't talk about that. You know, how we deal with leaks, because evidently the department head was really kind of saying to me that you really need to take care of this, Mr. Robinson, because this leak is really adding up. And so I have to get my plumber over there tomorrow to see where the leaks are. So how many leaks like mine are affecting this water?
So I will tell you that we do a really good job. They came to me and told me the same thing. And so what the new water meters will do, so you can only see it monthly, right? They can see the change in your usage, and that's when they notify people. With the new water meters, everybody will be able to see that real time. We'll be able to see that data
quicker so that the leaks can be taken care of sooner, which, and every little leak getting fixed, doesn't matter how big it is, it makes a difference. So right now, we can only see it month to month, but soon we'll be able to see it real time.
When the water corp said that leak program that they have with their water meters
Yes,
has saved a lot of water.
correct.
So if we can get out, when are we gonna get out? I guess I'm trying to say, are we gonna get a leak program started real soon?
Next month, you will have 2 contracts to compare. And then we will move forward on that.
Thank you.
Russell, you had another comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up, I'm a business owner. I love DFA, but I do think just needs to be brought up. You know, they're one of our biggest users. I think you took a tour last summer, if I'm not mistaken. I know they do a fantastic job, but I just want to reiterate, based on all the discussion, there's only so much the residential can conserve. And, you know, whether that conversation needs to happen or, I definitely don't want to I want to be pro-business. I don't want to put constraints on business, but there's only so much that I think the residents, you know, if we're doing our part, and I know there's some that are not, let's say we all get on board, push comes to shove, are we going to address that?
I think it's a talk that we need to have on seeing where they can conserve also. I know that they have a reuse system there that they use. I don't know how much more they can, but we should definitely have those talks with them. And that's something.
They're continually reviewing their processes, trying to be as efficient as they can about reusing that water. There's a lot of that stuff, the water that they pull out of that milk that they cannot use in cleaning processes because of restraints through EPA and different, food and drug.
And dairy's just water intensive in itself.
But they have started using, some of the water they pull out, they use it to cool their equipment. That was a big savings right there. So they're continually reviewing their process and trying to streamline it to where that they're not using near as much as they have in the past. So they're making strides.
Yeah, and that's a tough topic. Yes, they are high water users, but how much do they give back to the community? They employ hundreds of people in our community, and you know, like Abengoa was a very large user, but they didn't have a whole lot of employees. DFA is a little bit different. They're their own functioning community in itself. And so that's a tough discussion that we would have to have with Joey and see does that hurt their industry, and can that harm us even more by reducing their capacity?
They keep continually working to be a good citizen. As far as water use.
Well, one last thing, just as another suggestion, I don't know, I'm watching a street project going on because it's near my business, but when we're using water in the water truck, are we filling that from the reuse every time? Or are we using potable water to do these street projects? Pardon me?
We have to use potable water.
To fill a hole?
Yeah, we can't utilize our reuse system until we're in compliance.
Oh, at all?
Yeah.
Not even for streets or
nothing. Unless.
And okay, then I'm gonna follow up with how far out are we on that?
We've still got some, we've met with a few, both Wilson and Company and in NMED with our compliance regulatory officer. Her name is Cambry Townsend, and we came up with a corrective action plan. Yeah, thank you. And we've got to figure out which direction we want to take as far as the city, what we can afford, and the direction we want to take to make those actions happen and correct things that need to be corrected. But until then, we can't utilize any of that unless our discharge permit's met on on compliance. So
Can we be looking for something at the next meeting or? We've been waiting on that, correct?
This is actually stuff like that is actually being built. We're trying to build into our budget for next year. So obviously the fiscal year is getting ready to close. And so by building it into our next year's budget, we can start planning out and having that and getting that
We'll have to
done.
use reuse water for the rest of the year.
I mean, it depends on where we can take our corrective action plan.
And remember, the year ends in June. The new year starts in July. That's what he's talking about with building your next year's budget. Next year's budget starts July 1.
That's better, but I mean,
Yeah.
still several months we've not used reuse water.
Any further discussion? If not, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-08, adopting the water conservation and drought contingency plan.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Elkins, a second by Mr. Lopez. Daniel, would please call roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Elkins,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Pass and come back to you.
I'll pass.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Ms. Parker is absent, Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
and Ms. Cordova.
I vote yes. I would like one clarification. Are we taking out the tank levels?
Are we taking out the tank levels?
I'm a little late now.
Okay,
Motion went,
I vote yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
and then go back to Mr. Self.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Okay, so resolution 2025-08 is adopted. That concludes the action items on our agenda. It's now time for council and staff comments. I'll start with staff. Chiefs.
Received our second ambulance from ARPA funding this last week. It was posted on Facebook. Looks a lot like the other one, just a little bit smaller, but anybody that wants to see it is welcome to holler at me and we can schedule a time. We all look at them.
Just don't call 911.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't want to see it. I mean, getting in it.
Kelly.
So the foundation for the animal control was just finished last week, so the delivery date for the new buildings have been put to May 14th, they'll be here. After some small projects, we have to customize it to our needs, the buildings are pre-manufactured, they should be up and ready. I'm not gonna give a timeline on those construction projects, because construction projects are a little, don't really like to fit timelines, but they're pretty small projects, so I hope to see it up for the next 3 months.
Anybody else on that room? Morning.
All right, streetlights on the square, we have 5 left for the ballast replacement, the JLG that they were using, ruptured hydraulic line, but it's all fixed now and we'll get with our electrician to get that on, finish the rest of them. We got 25 more dumpsters done in the past 2 weeks. I know potholes are a big issue, especially after that rain. The new material that we're using, the rock asphalt, we ran out of, so we have more that's coming in tomorrow. We'll be back out filling potholes. So that everybody knows does not get tamped down. It does not get, it just gets run over by a vehicle tire, and as people run over it more and more, it settles in. It has a different kind of mix, sets up almost like a concrete, and so hopefully it'll hold up better to the rain. Where we did do some test areas, has been holding up a lot better, so. So we got that, our sign machine is fully in. Clovis Public Works came down to help us out, setting it all up with software and showing showing us all the ins and outs, but we have a software issue apparently with it. So we have called to the company, we're waiting on them to get back to us, but once we get that up and running, we'll start, on par to start replacing a lot of our street signs. The convenience center, the new building is awaiting final inspection, and then we'll finish up the electrical, IT, all the things. The alley behind McCarty's, they will be working on next week. And I talked to Patrick Lucero today. He said that he wasn't able to show up today, but the substation is on track to be done at the end of the month, the repairs. And they had to get a traffic plan from the state, which caused a massive delay in the lights on Chicago being worked on, but they are going to be working on them tomorrow. So hopefully we get those fixed. And then last, the 28th and 29th of this month, speaking of budget, we're doing our budget meetings, 4 p.m. here at the Memorial Building. We'll be doing a couple different departments each day, so that they'll present their budget to you, so that you know where we're at, what we're asking for, and so on and so forth, so that finance can take all of that and then build the budget. So that we can have a preliminary approved and for the deadlines.
And the deadline for the preliminary is May 31st.
May 31st, yes. And then I think July 31st is for the final approval. And that's all I got.
The clerks, y'all have anything? Okay.
We did go to Taos last week so we could attend. The both of us attended a clerk's spring session, and so we got the opportunity to be around other clerks and learn some new things. We learned more about ordinances and budgeting. So I think it was a useful opportunity for us. We appreciate the opportunity given to us to go.
We always need to be learning, so good.
That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Rackford.
A couple of things came up at chamber today. I just want to make us aware of and start the discussion on. One is I was informed that Eastern was not notified that the deadline for the lodger's tax was till it was passed. That's just what I was told. I'm just.
No, he was.
Nobody was notified. It was put out in the paper and posted like as required, but we've worked that out.
Yeah, because I would suggest that we at least send an email to the ones who do it every year, just letting them know it's coming. I mean,
It's on the calendar, on the website, and they get a calendar item.
Yeah.
Send it out.
They are sent reminders.
well, that was what I was reporting. But the other one is, and this one really concerns me personally. There's a pretty good chance that the schools are not going to be able to continue city sports. They're going to have to cut that. The funding they were using for that was from COVID funding, and they don't know that they're going to be able to continue to do that. So we're going to have to find a way to. I'll be screaming at the top of my lungs if we lose city sports.
So I can say that working with RCC DC, and I need to get in contact with the superintendent and talk about that, but I know that a lot of people might not like to hear this out of my mouth, but we will not let sports be gone. If we have to, the city will take it back over. What that looks like for us is adding another position, obviously, because it's basically a full-time job to coordinate those things. But I will make sure that we won't lose it. Now, it may be while we're starting a little bit limited. While we're starting back up again, it might be a little bit limited, but we are not going to lose that for this community.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Mayor?
You had a break-in at the end some time ago that we.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, but
as far as.
have we ever done anything on insurance? Have we got?
Yes. Oh, for as far as the equipment and everything, it was filed and all of our equipment has been replaced.
And locks? Did we change locks on the building or anything?
We're getting it where then it has to be fixed. There were locks. The locks were busted in, is that correct? We've had a couple of breaks, and that's just we've been here, but everything's getting back where it can be used, safely for its intended purpose.
I just hadn't heard an update on that, so we should check it in on it. And I know I keep asking this, but have we found any source of money so that we can get the operators?
We sent the check out.
It's in phase one, so he said sometime, I wanna say he's gonna get back with me next week. They're gonna put together their findings and, we've sent them out locations and he sent back pretty much kind of an engineer or preliminary report to us of what they're gonna do. I can send that to you.
Okay. Please. Good. Let's see us moving on that. That's about it. Other than, we don't have a street sweeper of any sort.
We do, the water pump on it decides when it wants to work and when it doesn't. So that's the biggest problem we have on it. Sometimes it'll work and then.
You're talking about the spray in front of the.
Correct.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just kicking dust everywhere.
Taking dirt.
So,
I'd almost volunteer my services to come down and look at it, because we used to have one just like that down there at JD High School that I worked on all the time, so.
okay,
There you go.
I'll talk to Steve.
Okay.
Mr. Elkins?
Yeah, a couple of things. Just an update on the parking lot. We had our opening day Saturday for Little League at the softball field. We had one elderly patron fall, got busted up her shin and arms pretty bad. So, and I did direct her to the handicap on the back end, but she said that's almost worse. So if I said it's at least grass, not caliche, but any update on timeline for that? I know we're getting quotes. Is that what?
We got the quotes. I think the earliest we can get anybody here, and actually I just got an update today, is probably early August, mid-August.
Okay.
Everybody's just booked completely right now. As the weather turned good, they're booked for streets and they're the same to do parking lots, but we'll see if we can up that timeline.
Okay. At the opening ceremonies for the Little League, we had Eastern baseball come out, so that was a neat experience to have them out there with the kids. But the sad part was when they were walking out to greet the kids, walking through the outfield, they were only commenting on how poor the conditions were and how dangerous it was for the kids and the environment they're having to play in. Part of that's water. And I think you answered it with Mike's question, but the tank that we have there, is that clean and usable to use? Because isn't it just the reuse system itself to the fire hydrants we can't use? Can we turn on that tank to water those fields to get something started, or are we just dead in the water?
So that pond there, we can use the water that's in that pond, but once that pond's done, we can't turn the reuse system back on until we're into compliance. So whatever's sent out into that pond is usable.
Okay.
But we can utilize that pond for watering.
Is there a way we can get that on the schedule to try and get that built up?
As far as I know, somebody has to stay out there with it the entire time because with the pump, but we'll look into it.
Okay. And then kind of to Mr. Ackler's point, I would like to be put on the agenda next meeting on behalf of the country club and their board as a possible solution to the discharge. I know the country club has been added to that discharge permit, so we would love to enter into a partnership for that. We went to the Public Works Committee. Sounded like we had a pretty good group of support there. If we could propose a plan to see how we can partner to keep that in compliance to prevent it from falling out again. Of course, we don't want to take all the water. We would love to see it at the parks, but in the meantime, we need to keep that water moving. So if we can get on the agenda next meeting to put a proposal together, we'd love to.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Lopez?
I want to be a little stubborn again about our railroad cross,
The railroad
sidewalks.
crossing on University, we confirmed with them that it is on us to start and to pay for, and that maybe during the project, they would give us some money. So, we have to have the money to start, and we have to make sure that we have the money to complete before we even start that project.
I had a meeting with an individual about that, and he said that once the railroad approves it, they're going to pay for it, but you have to push them.
Okay, because that's not the answer we'll get. So we'll re-engage, because that's the answer we got the other day, or actually yesterday.
Okay. The potholes, you already addressed them. I went to a funeral Monday and we couldn't hardly miss those holes over there, but they got fixed. You guys did a good job. But they're all over town now, so we can't even gripe from one area or the other.
Correct.
So we need to get them fixed.
We're working on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mariposa Builders Construction and Good Life for their investment in the community. Look forward to seeing their project come to fruition. Talking about, I also went out to the opening ceremony for the Little League, and great to see that many people out there. Love to see the facilities improved. Anything we can do to automate sprinklers. I know everything seems to take money, but it kind of a waste of time just sitting out there watching it water. Surely there's a way we can put it online where it's kind of automated, but maybe it's not possible.
I'm not sure coming out of that pond that it is. We have to go out there and look at it. So I'll talk to Steve.
Okay. And then I definitely want to see us pursue the new water meters. I think that's just critically important at this point. I think it's fair to say there's probably a small amount that probably don't work properly. There's no way to really test it or see accurate data. Hopefully not that many, but the more we can invest in that infrastructure and get it online, just where people actually pay for what they're using, I think city will be better off revenue wise, and automate those data points. The better off your staff will be, Chris, as well. So
we're waiting on quotes and then a contract, and now that we're gonna have a contract attorney, it should speed it up, but next month we'll have it.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to see that the city send a letter of thanks to the State Highway Department for their work on B and Florida Highway. That overlay is really great, especially us who drive a bus going across the railroad track there. That's really a great overlay, and I hope that they continue to do some projects like that which would impact our roads. And kudos to them for taking that money and using it that way. Also, the park department got, how many new lawnmowers you have?
3.
They are really nice. Kubota's orange, and
Right.
they were working good today. So I think that Steve Nimmer have the capacity to take care of the softball field if they can get out there to cut, because they have the equipment to do it.
Right now, there's no grass to mow,
But they can still, it may not be no grass to mow, but they can run their lawnmower over and make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so I just think Steve can give an opportunity. They do that.
We're trying to improve the equipment that we have, just a little bit at a time. New ambulances, new fire trucks, new lawnmowers, just different things. And one of the things you'll see in the next budget is equipment replacement plans and vehicle replacement plans, stuff that has not been in the budget previously.
Well, those lawnmowers are really a great addition to our staff. But the highway department said, if we, the city, would give them the road sweepers, they would fix them and get them operable. And
Okay.
I'll get you in contact with Alan And he said that they can fix those Pelican, the Pelican and the Elgin. And I said if in some kind of way, if they have the mechanics to take care of that, if we want to look, so it's Alan, I'll get his last name and give it to you.
Okay.
That's all.
Ms. Cordova?
I just have a couple of things. Attended public safety this last week and we were able to have two presentations. One was from emergency management and they're doing a great job getting ready for the high wind season, the hail and the thunderstorms that are, you know, hope to God that they come through. Even though sometimes we have to take the good with the bad, we'll take the hail as long as we get the moisture. So thank you to Antoinette and Johnny for that. Then we also had another presentation from Fire Chief Kathy, and he's going to be coming to us with letters of support soon. And he was able to showcase his new ambulance out there. We all got to go out there and view it. So I appreciate him having that out there for the committee to see. And then the sheriff's office just wanted to state that they are going to have an NDWI saturation patrol in the month of May. So be on the lookout for that. And then the other thing was the chamber ambassadors next week on the 24th, next Thursday, is going to have a free movie night for the kids. The kids should be receiving those tickets in their boxes at their schools. And the last thing that I had was I just wanted to wish the community and the staff and all of my colleagues a happy Easter.
Thank you, Veronica. I just have a couple of things. We did okay in capital outlay this year. The governor signed the capital outlay bill. We got all of ours. I think we would have done better if we'd have done a better job submitting our requests. I think that I would like to see next fall that we can't just submit an ICIP and call that our capital outlay request, because that's not going to get funded in that. So I think maybe we as the council need to be more involved in that process so that we can screw that down and give our legislators a better plan for funding this. I mean, it was to the point that I went and met with the governor's office, because had she looked at what we submitted versus what we were funded for, she probably would have vetoed everything, because it was like, well, there's no way you could do this. But I visited with Chris during the process and we said, okay. And then I visited with Senator Boone and Representatives Reed and Zamora, and you know, kind of pass along, if we get this here, we can do this. If we get this here, we can do that. And then there were some things that I don't get. I still don't get. But point is, we did get about $500,000 for streets. We got some money for a fire truck. We got some money for an evidence room. We got some money for some street equipment. All in all, we didn't do too bad. The other thing I'd like to say, Rustin and Veronica, Diane's not here. You should be receiving a packet tomorrow for screening the first round of applicants for Mr. Moyer's replacement. So that process is moving along, and we'll keep everybody up to date how that moves on. So none of us have seen that yet, so we don't know, but we do have a good cadre of applicants right now to start the review this week. So if no one has anything else, we're adjourned.